Good morning everyone and welcome. I'm Mike Giles of Evernet Solutions Limited. I'm a chartered engineer with a background in electronics and telecommunications product development, specialising in telephony and broadband services. In the last 5 to 10 years I've managed the IT support and information security for a small telecom solutions provider called the Kenton Group. This has involved certification to ISO 27001, an international standard for information security management, and also certification to the UK government CAS-T information security standard for the public services network. I formed Evernet Solutions last year to enable me to move into contract employment and establish a business in telecoms and IT security. At the end of last year I completed the CISP security certification. Today I would like to share some statistics with you regarding cybercrime, give you an insight into the concepts and principles of information security, talk a little bit about Cyber Essentials, and then highlight the services Evernet Solutions can offer to help you improve your security, and finally a brief summary. The World Economic Forum Global Risk Report 2016 placed cyber liability at number 2 in the top 10 business risks. Many of the other top 10 risks can be mitigated by information security controls. A KPMG report on the number of breach incidents by source in 2015 identified 62% were caused by malicious outsiders, 22% accidental loss, and 12% were malicious insiders. So it's important to protect your data from threats within your company as well as from outside. A government information security breach survey carried out in 2015 found 82% of the worst security breaches cost large organisations between £1.46 and £3.14 million. 28% of the worst security breaches were caused partly by senior management giving insufficient priority to security. In 2015, 74% of small businesses experienced a cyber breach, up from 60% in 2014, with an average cost of between £75,000 and £311,000, up from £65,000 to £115,000 in 2014. Some major breaches that made the news in 2015 are shown. Of particular note is TalkTalk. After 3 security breaches it faced an estimated bill of £60 million, the loss of 101,000 customers and a 30% drop in share price. So what is information security? The definition of information is data that is accurate and timely, specific and organised for a purpose, presented within a context that gives it meaning and relevance, and can lead to an increase in understanding and decrease in uncertainty. Information is valuable because it can affect behaviour, a decision or an outcome. Information security is the practice of defending information from unauthorised access, use, disclosure, modification, recording or destruction. The key concepts of information security are confidentiality, which is based on the principle of least privilege that ensures only authorised users, processes or systems have access to information on a need-to-know basis. Secondly, integrity is based on the principle that information should be protected from intentional, unauthorised or accidental changes. Information must be accurate and up to date. And lastly, availability is the principle that information must be available and accessible to authorised users when needed. I've attempted to identify the key elements of an information security management system and would like to go into a little more detail with some of these. A business framework should be put in place that is built on governance, which is the process of establishing and maintaining a framework that ensures the business focuses on core activities, clarifies who in the organisation has authority to make decisions, accountability for actions, responsibility for outcomes, and how expected performance is evaluated. Risk management, which is the systematic process for identifying, analysing, evaluating, remedying and monitoring risk. The size of the risk determines the decision to either mitigate, transfer to another party, avoid or accept it. Lastly, compliance is the conformance to the stated requirements. It is the actions that ensure behaviour complies with the established rules as well as the provision of tools to verify that compliance. It encompasses compliance with laws, standards as well as the company's own policies. How do you determine your risks? Firstly, you need to identify and value all your assets, both tangible and intangible. Intangible assets include information assets and intellectual property such as trademarks, branding, agreements and contracts, trade secrets, business methodologies and patents. Then identify the vulnerabilities associated with those assets, and finally the threats that could exploit those vulnerabilities. Risk is the likelihood a threat will exploit a vulnerability and the magnitude of the impact on the business that results. Once all risks have been identified, they can be prioritized based on severity. A management system ensures acceptable levels of information security risk are maintained by the application of approved policies, standards, and procedures. It is now possible to consider the controls that need to be put in place to mitigate the highest priority risks. The types of access control are administrative, based on policies, procedures, standards and guidelines. Technical, any technology-based solutions such as computer systems, network equipment and software applications, and physical. The access control process starts with identification and authentication to verify the user is who they claim to be, authorization that they have the right to access the data or resource, and accounting, recording the user's activity for logging and auditing purposes. At this stage, it is important to perform a cost-benefit analysis on the proposed controls to determine if they are cost-effective. People are central to strong information security and must be educated and trained adequately. The aim is to create a pro-security culture. Awareness needs to be maintained on acceptable use and current threats such as social engineering, phishing and malware. I would like to draw your attention to Cyber Essentials, which is a government-backed, industry-supported scheme to help organisations protect themselves against common cyber attacks. It is for all organisations of all sizes and in all sectors. Cyber Essentials is based on the 10 steps to cyber security, which identifies 10 areas to improve your cybersecurity position. There is a great deal of useful information on the government websites, including some training videos which are well worth watching. These can be found on the National Archives site. So how can Everynet Solutions help you with your information security? Assist with the risk management process. Assist with generating security policies, processes and procedures. Advise on security solution selection including hardware, software and services. Project management of upgrades and remediation work, management of third parties including IT support, auditors, penetration testers and suppliers. Implementation and test of security control upgrades. So to summarise, always include security as a criteria for business decisions, not as an afterthought. Security solutions should be appropriate for the type and size of the business, sensitivity and criticality of the data, and the risk appetite. Consider security when purchasing new hardware, software and services. And hardware and software are only as secure as the configuration applied. Change the default settings. When making changes, communicate what is happening, why it is happening, when it is happening, and who is responsible. Set expectations. Be prepared for a loss in efficiency initially. Patience and a pragmatic approach are required where compromises will have to be made. And make use of Cyber Essentials and Cyber Streetwise. View information security as a business enabler rather than a hindrance. Today your company may not need strong security controls, but as it grows, putting the framework in place early will help you manage your information assets more securely moving forward. Thank you for your time today, and goodbye.